The ground was pretty much frozen solid and we could hardly even make a dent. I spent a few minutes trying before I handed the shovel over to Rowley. He couldn't really make any progress either. But I gave him an extra long turn so he could feel like he was contributing to the project while I sipped some hot cocoa inside. Rowley got a little bit further than I did, but when it started to get dark out, he gave up. I guess we'll have to take another crack at this thing tomorrow, Sunday. Well, I thought about it a lot overnight and I realized that at the rate me and Rowley are going, we are gonna to be in college before this hole is 10 feet deep. So I came up with a totally different idea for what we could do. I remember this thing I saw on TV where scientists made a time capsule and filled it with a bunch of stuff like newspapers and DVDs and things like that. Then the scientists buried their time capsule in the ground. The idea was that in a few hundred years, someone will come along and dig it up and they can learn how people from our time used to live. Time capsule. Do not open until 2300 AD. I told Rowley about my idea and he seemed pretty enthusiastic about it. Mostly I think he was just glad we weren't gonna spend the next few years digging a hole. I asked Rowley to donate some items to put in the time capsule and that's when he got cold feet. I told Rowley if he put some of his Christmas presents in the time capsule, people in the future would get some really cool stuff when they opened the box. Rowley told me it wasn't fair because I wasn't putting any of my Christmas presents in the time capsule. So I had to explain to him that the people in the future would think we were really lame if they opened the box and it was filled with clothes and books. Then I told Rowley I'd throw in $3 of my own money to prove I was making sacrifices too. That seemed to be enough to convince him to fork over one of his new video games and a couple of other things. I actually had a secret plan that I wasn't letting Rowley in on. I knew that putting the cash in the time capsule was a smart move because that money is gonna be worth a lot more than $3 in the future. So, hopefully, whoever finds the time capsule will travel back in time and reward me for making them rich. For you, kind sir. I wrote a little note and put it in the box just to make sure the person who finds it knows exactly who to thank. And the note said, "To whom it may concern, the cash is from Greg Heffley, 12 Surrey Street." Me and Rowley found a shoebox and we put all of our stuff in it. Then we sealed it up with some masking tape. I wrote a little note on the outside of the box to make sure it didn't get opened too soon. The note said, "Time capsule. Do not open until time travel is possible." After that, we put it in the hole we dug yesterday and buried it as best we could. I kind of wish Rowley had put some extra efforts into digging the hole because a time capsule wasn't really buried all the way. Hopefully, nobody will mess with it because it needs to stay there for at least a few hundred years. Dun 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 dun. Monday. Well, my week got off to a rough start. When I got out of bed, Mom's bathrobe wasn't where it usually is, hanging on my doorknob. I asked Mom if she took the robe back, but she said she didn't. So I have a feeling Dad had something to do with it. A couple of days ago, I figured out a way to combine the bathrobe experience and the heating vent experience. And I don't think Dad really approved of my idea. I stand on heating vent in my bathrobe and my fluffy slippers and let the he'd blow up into the rub. Ah! I figure he either hit the rub or got rid of it. Now that I think of it, Dad made a run to the Goodwill bin last night after dinner. So, that's probably not a good sign. Anyway, if Dad did get rid of the rub, it wasn't the first time he has thrown out someone's personal property. You know how Manny has been trying to quit using his pacifier? Yesterday morning, Dad got rid of every single one of Manny's pinkies. Well, Manny totally freaked out. The only way Mom could get him to calm down was to dig out his old blanket, this thing he calls Tingy. Tingy started off as a blue blanket that Mom knitted for Manny's first birthday, and it was love at first sight. Ding dong, ding dong, ding ding ding. Manny carried that thing around with him everywhere he went. He wouldn't even let Mom take it away from him so she could wash it. It started falling apart, and by the time Manny was 2, his blanket was basically a couple of pieces of yarn held together by raisins and boogers. I think that's when Manny started calling his blanket Tingy. For the past couple of days, Manny has been dragging Tingy around the house just like he did when he was a baby, and I have been trying to stay out of his way as much as possible. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun. Wednesday. I'm getting really tired of walking to school every day. So this morning I asked Mom if she would drive me and Rowley. The reason I didn't ask her sooner is because Mom's car is covered in all these embarrassing bumper stickers, and kids at my school, they're brutal when it comes to that sort of things. I've tried scraping the bumper stickers off, but whatever kind of glue they put on those things is meant to last until the end of the time. One of the stickers actually says, "My child is a graduate of Tender Cuddles Preschool." Today me and Riley got a ride from Mom, but I told her to let us out behind the school. The mom was surprised and she asked, "Are you sure this is where I'm supposed to drop you off?" And I replied, "Yes, thanks for the ride." Well, I made the dumb mistake of leaving my backpack in the car. So Mom brought it to me in 4th period, and of course, she picked today to finally start going to the gym. So she showed up in pink guitar with pink magic band, and then she said, "You forgot this, sweetie." It was just my luck too. 4th period is the only time when I have a class with Holly Hills, and I've been trying to make a good impression on her this year. I figure this incident probably set me back about 3 weeks. I'm not the only one who is trying to impress Holly Hills either. I think just about every boy in my class had a crush on her. Holly is the 4th prettiest girl in the class, but the top 3 all have boyfriends. So a lot of guys like me are doing everything they can to get in good with her. I've been trying to come up with an angle to separate myself from the rest of the goobers who like Holly, and I think I finally figured it out. Humor. See, the kids in my class are like Neanderthals when it comes to jokes. To give you an idea what I'm talking about, here's the kind of thing that passes for comedy at my school. Anytime Holly's in the area, I make sure I use my best material. I've been using Rowley as my comedy partner, and I've actually trained him on a couple of pretty decent jokes. For example, the one is, "Rowley, what you doing?" "Eating chocolate," I replied. "Rowley, where did you get it?" "Myself. A doggy dropped it." The only problem is Rowley starting to get a little greedy about who gets to say what. For example, he said, "Can I do the doggy drop part?" I don't think so, I replied. So I don't know if this partnership is going to work out long term.